Who are your left field cheapies?
Just doesn't excite me. I much prefer Ethan Strange and even Chevy as a bit of a gamble.
Brendan Hands and Joey Lussick, you mentioned before. I reckon Lussick is actually the better buy out of these two. Hello, Supercoaches. We are back for 2024. Huge season lined up. Rob Sutherland is pumped. He's got a new shirt. He's excited. How's your off-season been?
Pretty good, Tommy. Yeah. Did you want to give you more than that? 'Cause I know we're on a timeline with this one, so I was told I've got to keep it brief. Don't blather. You wanted a story about my off-season.
I wanted it to be a bit more natural than that, but anyway.
As opposed to be checking thing going, you want my story from the off-season? Well, I can give you a really good one from yesterday. Yesterday I went and had a CT scan.
Yes.
And they had to inject stuff into me, and before it she said, now you're going to feel it's going to be a little warm, a little metallic in your mouth, and you might feel like you've had an accident. And I thought, come on. Anyway, I'm in there, I'm in the tube, and then you get this, injection coming. In it comes. Felt like I pissed myself, Thomas. Oh, it was a highlight of my summer.
And so I was asking for a SuperCoach story, but I'm glad I got an old middle-aged man story instead. My story is SuperCoach related. So I was walking down the street with the pram, got the two kids in the pram, and this hotted-up Hyundai pulls up next to us, pumping music, and a guy leans out the window and goes, F Jack Bostock.
Wow.
And drives off.
Okay.
That's it. So people are not liking this call on Jack Bostock.
Was it Wayne Bennett?
It wasn't Wayne Bennett because, it sounds like Wayne Bennett is really keen on him. And Trav Mayne, a reporter up there who's on the ground and making all the phone calls, etc., is very keen on Bostock and reckons he's going to start round one. But a lot of super coaches aren't keen on him. He's a long way down the list.
He's moderately keen. If he starts, he's in. That's what it's got to be with cheapies, really. Well,
we'll get to it later. This show is all about cheapies. On Bostock, let's just elaborate on him for a bit because he's just over 300k. Even if he does start, is he actually a buy? Because he doesn't have the big base stats. You're relying on attacking stats for him. I'm hoping a better cheapie does come along, but let's face it, I'll probably end up having to go with Bostock in my team.
Well, you told me that I was on a time limit and I wasn't allowed to ramble, right? But I went and had a look at the stats anyway. So for the players from last year, round 4, round 5, who made the most money? After round 5, it was Jermaine Hopgood and Jacob Preston. Okay, so big money second rowers, big minute second rowers and locks. You expect that. The other one was Alofiana Khan Pereira.
Yeah.
Now, he's a winger who doesn't have base stats. Jack Bostock. He made like 300k in 3 weeks or 200k in 3 weeks. I don't know the exact numbers, Thomas. They're not important when I tell the story. But he was number 3 on the list. Now, you only need a couple of tries at that price and your price starts moving. If he's named to start, he's in the team.
Yeah, it's a decent wing to be on there at the Dolphins. We're going to run through the cheapies. As I said, you can sign up supercoach.com.au if you haven't. We're just going to run through the most popular cheapies and give our verdict on them. I think, certainly from me, the verdict on a lot of the popular cheapies is going to be negative from me. Not from the first one, though. Ethan Strange, 46% ownership. I think he plays centre for round 1. There's a little bit of an issue of when Sebastian Kris comes back in round 2 from that suspension. He has had his suspension reduced. I still think he stays in that team, but there is a question mark.
Yeah, the question mark is this, Ricky.
Yes. Good analysis.
Thank you, Ricky.
Great analysis.
Ricky Stewart. He's difficult. He's a difficult man. You never know what he's going to do. I really hate picking Canberra rookies because of Ricky.
Fair enough. And there's a lot of Canberra rookies on this list. We'll get to them in a sec. Kyle Iro at 40%. Not into this. He needs a lot of things to happen. He needs Talakai to move to the bench or move to the back row. He needs an injury or two in the back line. Even if there are injuries, Cade Dykes might come in. I just don't understand why he's at 40%. I'm making contingency plans now because I think he is one of these guys who will drop out of round 1 team calculations and you're going to have to find someone else. Yeah,
100%. You nailed it. There's also that kid, Michael something like that, that they've picked up just recently, who apparently is a gun, can play lots of spots in the back row as well.
And they got Stone Street as well.
Who's a winger more than a centre, but a big unit. I think this is 100% mistake. But look, they're all kind of placeholders at this point, Thomas.
Pretty much. Are you keen on Jaden Brayley? Because a lot of people are. I'm not sure. I don't think he goes back to playing 80 minutes after that ACL injury, and given how well Phoenix Crossland did in his spot. If he goes back to 60 minutes, I think he's a good buy. I don't know if that's going to happen. Anything less than that, he's not going to make that much cash.
Well, he's either going to be an 80-minute gun, a 60-minute bearable, but you know the other option here is the Parramatta players, right? It's Lussick and Hands, right? But you pick one, and then the other one, maybe his form isn't so good, and they all come with question marks, and you're always going to have question marks at 300k. But you're getting a bloke who is a very, very good player, has captained his club, and averaged 60 points. If he starts slow in rounds 1 to 8, I'm happy to carry him at that price. As long as he's healthy, he's in my team.
Yeah, I am kind of keen on what happens with that Parramatta hooker option, but we'll get to that later on. Kyo Weeks, I actually think, looking at job security, point scoring potential, and the price, I actually think he's the best cheapie in SuperCoach this year.
He's the Raider I like the least. So how about that?
Right, there we go.
You love him,
but
I don't.
But he's got job security. It looks like it looks like he's locked in for round 1. And a lot of these guys on this list, the job security is not great.
Yeah, Ricky's really famous for just sticking and picking with a young back. I mean, Xavier Savage was locked in, was going to be the most exciting player in the Raiders, and he can't even get New South Wales Cup team. So, look, I just Weeks just doesn't excite me. I much prefer Ethan Strange and even Chevy as a bit of a gamble.
Well, Chevy's next on the list.
Look at that.
I don't get. So he'll play round 1, potentially. It's not locked in. Gets that fullback spot for round 1. And then Sebastian Kris comes back into that team. He's going to knock probably one of those cheapies out of the team in Ethan Strange or Chevy Stewart. There's a big chance that particularly Stewart just plays one game and then he's burning a hole on our bench for indefinitely.
No, I've written up the Canberra team and I've written it differently to you. So I've got Chevy
You've been
at fullback.
speaking to Ricky Stew. He's taking your phone calls now, is he?
He doesn't, but if he wants to, I'm available. I'm on Instagram now, so if you'd like to contact me there,
Ricky's all over.
He'll probably
Instagram.
Slide into what do your kids call it? Sliding into my DMs. Yeah, he's welcome anytime. I think the best way that Ricky should pick his team is Chevy at fullback and Strange at 5'8", and he can do what he wants at centre. Seb Kris is a good centre. I think he can go there.
Right, so you have personally picked the Canberra Raiders team to suit your SuperCoach needs.
Oh, and just the way I think it should be.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well,
time.
Quality analysis. Bronson Xerri, probably calling him a cheapie is a bit rich. He's 340 odd.
Is that an awkward price, isn't he?
What are your thoughts on him though? Coming back from that ban, 4 years out, the reports are really good coming out of Canterbury, but I just do have a sneaking suspicion that he'll get eased back through New South Wales Cup.
Lots of moving pieces. If named, I'm prepared to find the money to fit him in there. So
I think so too. Viliami Fafita.
I don't understand this one at all.
I was red hot on him at the start of the year, but then they've bought Raymond Fatala Mariner recently. I know he's not a prop, but he can play middle. They've got some young forwards coming through there as well. I think Fafita will debut this year. I don't think it's going to be from round 1.
Yeah, I don't see this.
Moving on to Tallis Duncan.
That's another one I don't see. Great talent, but where's the minutes? Where's the spot coming?
Well, at the moment, it's a bench spot. He should get that for round 1 and hit his average from last year, which was 29 minutes. The PPM is amazing at 1.2. So as soon as there's a bit of an injury, even an in-game injury, the minutes go up. He's going to see a pretty significant rise.
Yeah,
I think he's decent.
But with a guy like that, right, who's played 29 minutes, so he's priced it around that, why not just wait till the injury? His price isn't going to move too much, right? That's what I'm saying.
I'm certainly hoping a better cheapie comes along, but if it comes down to him or Viliami Fafita, I'm certainly going Tallis Duncan ahead. Moving on to Samuel Hughes. So lots of spots open there at the Bulldogs. Looks like he gets a bench spot. I don't think he's going to get the minutes to make much of a rise, but they have lost so many forwards at that club. There's literally, I listed them in a story today, there's about 8 of them who have left. So he should score that bench spot. Phil Gould's all over him, reckons he's great. Those are positives. I just don't think he's going to get the minutes from round 1. I prefer another guy in that pack in Liam Knight.
Yeah, I don't like either. If I was going to pick one, it's Knight. I am only going to be carrying one cheapie front row forward in my squad at this stage. I want to have 2 legit starters, a third who's a mid-price starter. I hate wasting trades in my front row early. So the fourth one is going to be a guy I mentioned later.
There we go. Oh, leave everyone hanging. Jed Cartwright. I just don't get it. So he's at the Knights now. Played mostly as a bench utility really at South last year. So he is cheap, pretty much bottom dollar. But looking at that Knights team, he's not going to play edge back row. They've got good back rowers there in Frizzell, and Dylan Lucas probably gets the other one.
And the new buy, KPP.
The English Sonny Bill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you look at the centres and they've got Best and Gagai. And then there's wing spot open. It's not going to go to Cartwright. It'll go to someone else.
Yeah, I think it's Inari Tuala is the leader at this point.
And they've got Jenkins as a new buy as well.
I'd like it to be that Christian Mapapalangi, but I think it's going to be Tuala, which doesn't help any of it. But back to this, I don't see Cartwright. I think it's just a placeholder.
Yeah, either way, I think he's a fair way down the pecking order there. Spencer Leniu at your Roosters. I liked him more when Jared Warrior-Hargreaves was suspended for the first million rounds. He's had that suspension reduced. So it looks like he'll start in round 1. This is Leniu, but then probably back to the bench in round 2.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd still have... I don't know if he does start, to be honest. I think you've got... Lindsay Collins can play big minutes. Terrell May lit the place up at the back end of the season, especially when Jared was out. So... I see Spencer playing pretty much the same role he played at the Panthers. I don't see big minutes. I don't see big growth. I don't see the reason to buy him.
Moving on to Sua Farlongo from the Storm. Amazing in that one game that he played last season. Then was great for Samoa as well. Ryan Pappenhausen has said that he's going to trial and play round 1. So this presumably means that Farlongo now plays from the bench at best. Might jag a wing, maybe a centre spot. But unless that happens... I'm not going to pick him if he's named on the bench.
20 minutes of him off the bench, I'll take it, Thomas. I see it being like 20 minutes of Paps. It could be 2 tries. I'll take it at the price. Yep.
Ben Trebojevic is a guy who I wasn't keen on. Then we were just chatting in the office before to a bunch of Manly fans, or one Manly fan.
He was a big guy, though. I can see why you're going with
his name I won't. He's called the Battlers in fantasy sports, but he's actually pretty good at fantasy sports. And he reckons that Ben Trebojevic will start. Josh Schuster, obviously, has had his off-season problems and may not make that trip to Vegas.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. Ben Turbo starting in the back row, not the worst.
If he's starting, I'm interested at the price and with the dual position. He is dual position, right?
Yes.
I've done my homework. If started, I'm interested, but I mean, he played 60 minutes and got about a 35 base in his one decent start. Had another couple of 40-minute games. It was okay. I don't think he'll set the world on fire.
He's not a base stat guy. He's not a PPM monster or anything like that.
His best games have been when he was playing centre.
Yeah, it's hard to tell between centre form and back row form. Brendan Hands and Joey Lussick, you mentioned before. I reckon Lussick is actually the better buy out of these two.
Agreed. Arthur brought Lussick over from the UK for a reason. Even when Hands was healthy again at the very, very last part of the season, it was Lussick that he started. He was on the record as saying whichever he picks, he wants an 80-minute hooker. That said, Lussick's not a real upside guy, is he? You know, all their money is in Dylan Brown and Mitch Moses. So the job of a hooker at the Eels is just get the ball to them. So make 38 tackles, a couple of runs at most.
Lussick averaged 68 minutes last year. So I don't think there's going to be a great deal of improvement. Aidan Caesar is a guy who I'll let you talk about him because you're pretty keen on him, yeah?
I am keen. He's a veteran. He's a goal kicker. He's a solid worker in defence and certainly will have improved on that from his time at the Super League. I suppose the fear is that, at the moment he's penciled in to start at the West Tigers, but they've got Fainu sitting there, as the other option who's the future. But my hope is that Benji goes with his mature head halfback, and at the moment I'm going with a 1-gun half, 1-gun 5/8, and my backups are like the redemption team of Caesar and your guy, who I was got later, but Kyle Flanagan, who I think has a good chance to kick goals at the Dragons.
If he kicks goals, I think he's pretty much a must-have. But
kicking goals. You add 10 to 15 to his potential average of 35. You're getting 50, 55 and a half, 50, 55. Sorry, for that money, I'll take it.
Well, let's chat left field cheapies. These are guys who we think that should be a lot higher in the ownership percentages. Morgan Smithies. Looks like he'll play lock for the Raiders.
Ricky.
Again.
Sorry.
Pardon me, my
I'm going to kill you on the call. Yes, he probably will start there. But the fear is, right, Tommy, that Corey Horsburgh is due to come back in round 2, round 3. And what does that do to Smithies? That's the fear, right?
Yeah, but the chat is that Horsburgh is going to come straight back in and play in the prop rotation, which would be great for Smithies. Fletcher Baker, I think he's one of your former guys from the Roosters, goes up to the Broncos who've lost a heap of forwards. I think he goes in and starts playing decent minutes. I think he's okay. A lot of people are going for Xavier Willison, who's a fair bit cheaper, but I'm pretty keen on Baker at about 8% ownership. I think he should be a bit higher.
I think Baker and Willison have about the same opportunities. For me, again, Kevy hasn't been taking my calls, but I see Corey Jensen as the guy who's going to step up and be a starter. I think he's an underrated prop. So I think then you've got Baker and Willison maybe doing the same role off the bench, and because Willison's doing it at a cheaper price, he's going to make more money faster. So I prefer Willison.
What are your thoughts on Dylan Egan? Because he's been compared to Ben Hunt, said he's like Matt Gillette standing next to him in defence, which is pretty good rap.
Yep.
He's been compared to Liam Martin as well. Flanagan said that his genuine chance to take a starting edge back row spot in round 1, and he's bottom dollar.
He's in my team at the moment.
Yeah. I think I've did a re-rank of the Cheapie Bible that came out this morning, and he's slotted straight in at number 3. He's gone from literally not on the list to number 3.
I mean, pre-season form is always tough to really bank on, but yeah, I think he gets in.
I mean, they've got Tom Eisenhuth at the club too, who they're pretty keen on, and Raymond Fatala-Mariner didn't play that scrimmage trial or whatever they call it on the weekend, so he'd be a chance for that spot too.
I think Fatala-Mariner, yeah.
So, look, probably bench at best for round 1, but still, there's lots of good raps for him.
Mm-hmm.
Who are your left field cheapies?
So, Flanagan, who I've mentioned, who is at 7.8%, and I think as long as he's starting, he'll deliver value. If he's kicking, he delivers tremendous value and becomes a must-have. So just as a starter, he'll probably get into my team. As a kicker, he'll probably become a reserve. So that's how good I think he can potentially be. The other one, and this one I'm really surprised by, is Liam Henry at the Panthers. He's to me, he's got like Lindsay Smith 2023 vibes, right? Smith came in having played, I think, 3 or 4 games over the course of 2 years, 20 minutes here, then nothing, and then 20 minutes there. That's exactly what Liam Henry's done. He's played, I think, 4 games over 2 years, played a lot of New South Wales Cup. Spencer Leniu leaves, which leaves a spot. He can come in, play decent minutes off the bench, and then if there's injuries or they rest their starting guys, he plays bigger minutes. That's exactly what Smith did. He started at 236, finished at 400. If Liam Henry can do that for me, I'm a happy man.
My only issue with that is that they also have Maverick Geyer coming through too. So does he edge ahead for that bench spot, given that he can play edge and he's bulked up in the off-season too. So it suggests he could play middle minutes as well.
This is apropos of nothing with zero actual insight, Thomas, but Maverick Geyer is like a name we've been talking about for 2 and a bit years. And I just don't like that in SuperCoach. It's like that kid from the Storm who signed a 5-year deal. We talked about him in the rookie, in the Cheapie Bible forever, and he finally got on. And damn it, it's escaping my mind. Can you remember who it is? Melbourne Storm rookie.
Sorry, I'm looking at the questions.
I know you're looking at questions stuck in your kick up. Anyway, I don't like players who we've been talking about for a long period of time finally getting. I think Liam Henry.
You're thinking about Jack Howarth.
Bang.
Yeah.
Liam Henry has been groomed. I think he's ready.
So, any changes to your team, Cheapie related, since the start of the year?
Egan came in after Flano talked him up. Bostock after Trav Main wrote him up.
Yep.
Look, they're all placeholders now, right? But you can't ignore what people are saying and what journos are seeing when they're actually out there and talking to the coaches. So if someone's talked up and talked in, he goes in.
Yep, 100%. Absolutely. The people who are on the ground and making the phone calls and there at the training sessions, you have to trust them. I've got Liam Knight into my team. Morgan Smithies is in as well. Dylan Egan, as you say, and Kyle Flanagan too. I think he could be a must-have this year. Got some questions coming through. Lots of love for Aiden Caesar. Amit is asking, who is the best Cheapie centre wing to start with?
Well, the one that's named to start in round one. I don't mean to be like a bit annoying about it, but yeah, it's whoever's name. But at the moment, it's Bostock because he's the one that we know that we've heard is going to start.
Is it true that prices will be adjusted after 2 weeks of play this year? I don't think that is. That's from the NRL Phantom, by the way, who's
not related to the AFL
Phantom.
Yeah. We'll get back to you on that one.
Is there a chance there'll be a 18th man for HIAs, etc., in the near future? We've already got the auto emergency, so it's not going to happen this year. And then the Aiden Caesar question: is he guaranteed to start? Well, 355k in dual position.
I mean, he's not guaranteed to start, is he? It's we don't know, but I think it's likely. You know, if you've got a new coach who's got a lot of young players and is trying to create a little bit of starch in the team, you brought over a veteran half for a reason. I think. Let him be that veteran that you build the team around for a while. Yeah,
I think it'll be him and Jaden Sullivan in the halves to start round one.
I think so.
And then Latu Whanu potentially gets a go later on in the season.
Bit of New South Wales Cup time.
But then, of course, they need to prepare for Jerome Luai to come next year. So who is the person? You probably want a steadying hand next to Jerome Luai. So is that going to be Aiden Caesar if he extends?
Let's see how he goes in 2024.
We'll see how he goes. That is it for our Cheapies podcast to start the season. We're going back to back. We're going to shoot another podcast straight after this on the Top Guns. So look out for that on Monday. Big thanks to Rob. We'll catch you then.